The Republican nominee for President of the United States is facing a flood of new accusations of sexual assault and predatory behavior. Since yesterday morning, more than a dozen women have come forward with reports by more than half a dozen different media organizations describing encounters with Trump that are remarkably similar to each other and mirror the acts that Trump boasted about in that Access Hollywood video. Getting the most notice is a story published last night by the New York Times, which quotes two women who claim Trump made unwanted physical advances on them decades ago. A separate first-person account by a former People magazine reporter claims that Trump did the same to her in 2005. Trump's response to all of these accusations has been swift and venomous. His campaign lashed out at the New York Times, threatening to sue the Gray Lady. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. And this afternoon, a defiant Trump looked visibly enraged while addressing the claims at a rally in West Palm Beach, Florida.
These lies come from outlets whose past stories and past claims have already been discredited. The media outlets did not even attempt to confirm the most basic facts, because even a simple investigation would have shown that these were nothing more than false smears. Then there was a writer from People magazine who wrote a story on Melania and myself on our first anniversary. The story was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was lovely. But last night we hear that after 12 years, this took place 12 years ago, this story, a new claim that I made inappropriate advances during the interview to this writer. And I ask a very simple question. Why wasn't it part of the story that appeared 20 or 12 years ago? Why wasn't it part of the story? Why didn't they make it part of the story? I was one of the biggest stars on television with The Apprentice, and it would have been one of the biggest stories of the year. Think of it. She's doing a story on Melania, who's pregnant at the time, and Donald Trump, our one-year anniversary. And she said, I made inappropriate advances. And by the way, the area was a public area, people all over the place. Take a look. You take a look. Look at her words. You tell me what you think. I don't think so. I don't think so. But it is amazing. Doing a story, a love story, on how great we are together. And by the way, we're stronger today than we ever were before, which is great. But it's a love story. It's a love story on our 1 year. And if I did that, she would have added that. It would have been the headline. And who would have done that if you're doing this and you're one of the top shows on television? These people are horrible people. They're horrible, horrible liars. And interestingly, it happens to appear 26 days before our very important election. Isn't that amazing? This invented account has already been debunked by eyewitnesses who were there. They were there. The very witness identified by the author has said the story is totally false. By the way, this is a room that everybody can see, and it's got glass walls. It's at Mar-a-Lago. It's got glass walls. Can you believe this? Why wasn't it in the story, biggest story of the year?
When the Trump campaign sent out a transcript of that speech, they suspiciously left out that part where Trump seemed to ridicule the People magazine reporter for her looks. Trump has previously threatened to counter allegations like these by bringing up dirt on Bill Clinton's sexual past and Hillary Clinton's complicity in it, as he sees it, a strategy that is being championed by Trump campaign CEO Steve Bannon, according to reporting by Bloomberg Businessweek's Josh Green. But that line of attack was noticeably absent from Trump's speech in Florida today. Meanwhile, on the non-scandal side, a brand new Bloomberg Politics poll shows Hillary Clinton leading Donald Trump by a wide margin in Pennsylvania, and new NBC Wall Street Journal Marist polls in Ohio and North Carolina suggest that the race is still pretty tight in those states. But those polls have obviously been overshadowed by the crisis raining down on Donald Trump's campaign. So Mark Halperin, my friend, how do you think on the basis of this past 24 hours the Trump campaign is handling this crazy moment.
We'll come back to the polls in greater detail, but I got to tell you, those who said, like Joe Scarborough, that maybe Donald Trump would not collapse in the wake of the Access Hollywood tape in the debate, there's some evidence now that they're right. Trump is way down nationally. He's way down in Pennsylvania. But if those Ohio and North Carolina polls are right, it's too easy, as the New York Times and others are saying, to say, and Politico and others, well, this race is over. Trump's electoral college path isn't there. He's still got a really narrow path. He's still behind. But the polls suggest that there's more going on than just a downward trajectory for Trump. Now, Donald Trump's playbook right now is a lot like the Clinton playbook from the 90s, when they were trying to discredit women who were making accusations against Bill Clinton. Raise questions about their stories, raise questions about the timing, say that the forces for status quo want to keep things the way they are, and that's why they're bringing up these false negative stories, blame the press. That's right out of the Clinton playbook. There's two differences that are pretty fundamental. One is Donald Trump's doing a lot of this himself, and that's a danger. And two, he's doing it in an angry way. You can search long and hard. You won't find too many cases where Bill Clinton personally attacked his accusers. I think those are two big differences that are potentially big problems for Donald Trump.
Well, there's another big difference, right? It's never been the case, although Bill Clinton has been accused by various people. And again, I'll stress that Bill Clinton is not running in this campaign. But although he's been attacked, he was accused by various women, he never faced anything like what we saw last night. Just the number of accusations all coming in a giant wave. All of them, as I said earlier, remarkably consistent in the stories they tell, and remarkably consistent in terms of what Trump boasted of in the Access Hollywood tape. Given those things, given those realities, it seems to me the burden of proof is not on these women. The burden of proof is on Donald Trump. And right now, all he's saying is, the stories are ridiculous, they're lies. He's not actually disputing them in any detailed way or in any credible way. So I think if he's going to get past this, he's going to have to do better than just yelling liar, liar, and also ridiculing the looks of one of the women who wrote the most powerful first-person account so far. This is not the strategy to get past this, I don't think.
He's promised rebuttal evidence. We'll wait for that.
Yeah.
Every accuser, man or woman, every accuser deserves a chance to be heard. And the strength of these accounts, for the most part, is they have contemporaneous people who they told at the time or corroborating witnesses. But I will say, if the Democratic nominee for president had 6 or 7 media organizations all on one night coming forward, people would say, well, that's suspicious. 3 weeks before the election, this is all coming forward. Lastly, I'll say I know the bell rang, which is, the reason I think they all came out at once is because all these news organizations were jumping on it because they wanted to be part of not being last.
Well, also
so
because
the timing can be explained by that and by what Trump said at the debate.
Yes. And again, I know the bell's gone off, but let's face it here. Like, Donald Trump invited these women to come forward when he came out on the debate stage on Sunday night and denied ever doing this. And for a lot of these women for whom this is a painful experience, most of them, if not all of them, have no interest in being in the public spotlight, in reliving these experiences, in being trashed by Donald Trump. He provoked this, and it's actually sort of, it seems perfectly explicable to me that we would see these stories a few days later when these women saw him on stage on Sunday night and then came forward.